horror films, they kind of have always been part of us, even growing up when we get told stories as kids. There's the myth and horror always go together. The unknown, the unseen, the bogeyman. You look at fairy tales and how they've been exploited into horror films. Red Riding Hood myth comes to mind, and the whole creation of werewolves, of vampires, of flesh eaters. These are all really stem from the human being's ability to conjure up shadows, the dark side, which we all hold. So in a sense, horror films hold for us quite a lot of answers to our own psyche. But obviously we get access to the horror film through entertainment. So it's kind of, we want to be reminded of our dark side and the fact that we don't all become serial killers. But at the same time, we want that feeling, we want that endorphin kick. That's very important. So I think that's the reason why horror films will never go away, is because they actually touch us on quite a primal level. I'm a great fan of mixing them both. One film this year we showed, I think did that very successfully, was which is a psychological horror film with plenty of gore. And Seven, you could say, was an intelligent fusion of both. I think it's possible to do both. I can't understand why horror can't be psychological as well as visceral. Because, in other words, there is mental horror, of course there is, and there's things like suspense and illusion and surprise, all of which can add to horror. But they can be combined with what I call physical horror, which is just the fact that you are watching something which is horrifying, and I think they can be fused. If I was being asked to choose out of the two in terms of if they were strictly down, I would say psychological horror, because even like The Exorcist, preys on you psychologically, even though it's full of kind of very strong imagery. So I think a film without any psychological suspense or psychological meaning, probably I would find less interesting. But I imagine, an 18-year-old who's into splatter will probably not kind of care that much. My favourite horror film is The Exorcist, because partly the age I was when I saw it, I think. It left quite a haunting impression on me, and I still think it's one of the best horror films ever made. Closely followed by Seven. I like Seven. And I'm a great fan of Dario Argento, and Suspiria is one of my favourite films, but personally coloured by the fact that I've worked with him. But I would say they're my three top horror films of all time.